Welcome back to Hidden Treasure, and this is Jimmy.
And I'm Brad, and today we're going to be talking about belief, and this is going to be a good one. You don't want to miss it.
All right.
All right.
So, belief. What is belief? Anyway, what would you say, Brad?
Yeah. So there's certainly some faith aspect in there
Mm-hmm.
of you know uh, wanting something or thinking about something to where you expect it to happen in the future. You feel very strongly about it, and so I say expecting is part of it, but you're just thinking, you're kind of creating or manifesting this thought into reality.
Mm-hmm. That's
Belief.
that's good, and we've been told too, based on our favorite teacher, the good teacher, as you believe, so shall it be done unto you.
Mhm.
And I would just like to say this about uh, what he was saying there. He had a hometown. It was Nazareth,
Mhm.
and he went out all over the area. All the different cities and towns, doing what? Healing and just ministering to the folks back then. And he healed a lot of people,
A lot of miracles.
a lot of
Yeah.
miracles. But
Hmm.
guess where he didn't do any?
His hometown.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Well, they thought of him not as the Messiah,
But as a carpenter.
a carpenter, somebody that grew up there, the snotty nosed little kid that grew up there, whatever.
Yeah, and they said, "You're just a carpenter."
Hmm.
So they didn't have belief.
That's
He
true.
even mentioned, he said, "I can't do anything in my hometown because they don't believe."
Mhm.
This is the kind of belief. I brought this up to just show you what we really mean by belief. It means believing that something can happen, and that faith that you mentioned just a minute ago.
Right.
It's belief is powerful. It's very, very powerful, but it's easy to doubt. Sometimes it's more difficult to believe, and that's why we have to again work on it like we're working on everything else.
Right. It's entrusting in a thought, a feeling, an emotion of something that you desire or want that you don't have yet. It's a goal. It's a dream. It's something that you're wanting to accomplish or achieve, but it's not tangible.
Hmm. It's yeah. It's just a mental process, really.
Right.
Something you and the problem for us is in this world, so many things happen, and you can have belief and everything's going good, but when something happens you're not expecting, it's very easy to lose that belief.
Right.
But what you want to do is, if you do, it just be a temporary thing. And again, too, ask for help, but decide on something you're wanting to accomplish or you're wanting to experience, and say, you know what, I believe it can be done with time and effort, and also with help from a higher power. That's something we're very quick to lean on, as a higher power, asking for help. I know I do, and I've heard you say the same thing.
Right. There's a saying called, "Oh, if there's a will, there's a way,"
Yes.
and so in probably anything you've ever accomplished, you just didn't happen to roll out of your bed and boom, it was there.
Right.
Even the person that goes into the person that wins the lottery, they got to be motivated to go in and buy a ticket, right?
Exactly.
So the belief usually starts with a thought or a vision, an idea, and from there you start to think
Hmm.
about what you want to accomplish or achieve, and that's where the foundation occurs for the belief.
Hmm.
But then you've got the will, then the way. How does that happen? Well, then that's when the mind takes over, and you're like, all right, I believe I can accomplish this or achieve this if I'm willing to do these activities.
Hmm.
And you can even envision the emotion or feelings that are going to come with that reward, whatever you believe in,
Whatever you
and
believe.
you can almost project your future uh, if you do it enough.
Right. It's just like practice, application, and it gets easier as you do it. And
Right.
here's something that I think it would be important to believe in, and this treasure chest of hidden treasure we're talking about. we did this just to kind of bring a visual to what we're talking about. Sometimes we're more visual than we are auditory. And so there's a treasure inside of each one of us, just like this treasure chest. And it's full of everything you've been looking for, like joy, love, acceptance, peace of mind. It's all there, and it's in each one of us. And we're hoping that we can inspire you and encourage you to find the hidden treasure within you, because that's exactly what happened to us. We discovered a treasure inside of us I didn't know was there. And it's, you got to be careful what you believe and what you say, because kids, they're listening to everything you say. I was talking to a lady just last week, and we were talking about this and talking about our what we're thinking and saying and how it's affecting us. And they were telling me they were kind of struggling with how hard they were on themselves and calling themselves names and idiot and stupid. And uh, but they said, I didn't even know I was doing it. But my son, who was, I think he was 7, and he called himself an idiot one day. And the mom said, "Don't do that, son. Why would you do that?" And he said, "Well, you do it." She, and she said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Every time you get frustrated, you call yourself an idiot."
And didn't even know it.
And didn't even know it. And that's why I say be more aware. You're probably talking about yourself in ways that are not very flattering, very positive, very uplifting, and you don't even realize it. And she didn't. Her little 7, 8-year-old son pointed that out to her.
Yeah.
And she was shocked. And now she's more aware and says she's going to clean that thinking up, because she didn't want her son saying it.
Right.
But she never intended that. She didn't even realize what she was doing.
Yeah.
And that happens to a lot of, surely, it certainly happened to me.
Yeah. So talking about belief, let's talk about just examples that belief can be used in sports.
Well, you set an intention or a goal, whatever you want to call it. I like intention, and then you got to believe in that. And just like belief that you're going to win when you go out on that field. You play football at a high level. This guy right here won a state championship. How about that?
Well,
good job.
Well, thank you. Well, I was telling Jimmy, this is just an example, but if you've ever done anything and you achieved success, you didn't kind of flounder into it.
Mm-hmm.
You had to have some goals. You had to put in the work, and you had to overcome some obstacles, and really those things kind of helped you to grow. But when I was growing up, I played with a group of guys, and we won a lot, and it was a lot of fun, and we played and a lot of joy and happiness. And but I was telling Jimmy, we weren't the biggest, the strongest, the fastest. We didn't have the quality depth that some other teams had. So what was different about it? Why were we successful? At least as far as the win losses go, and other teams weren't. And the only thing I could come up with was that we truly believed. If you asked any one of us before the season started what the results were going to be, we would tell you, because we knew that we had put the time in, we had worked hard, and we were really close knit. We had good relationships. We loved each other. We were there for each other. And so, when you're going through it, you don't sometimes think it's that special. But when you look back on some things and you're like, golly, that was really a special group, a special time, and in my opinion, the successes all boil down to belief. And so I know you've got a story about Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, well, he always he was a psychologist. He went to school for psychology, and he played football for Arkansas, and then he was going to start his job, and he got a call from a school that was running a defense similar to the one he played for at Arkansas, and they wanted him to fill in while his coach was out. He started doing it, and he realized, man, this is just psychology, and it's just all about belief. It's about getting these guys to believe in themselves. So he decided to become a coach. Well, he was pretty successful. He's one of the few coaches that ever won a national championship in college and in pros.
Right, Super Bowl
championship, hit the highest level. But he had a saying. He'd say it over and over. These guys that played for him he would say over and over and over, let the mind lead the body, not the body lead the mind. because when you put that belief, the body's weak. You know, the body says, "Oh man, it's too hot. I'm tired. Let's just slow down." I'm sure you had those thoughts. You know, and I played. I didn't play at the level you did, but I can remember those hot August days, 95 degrees, 100% humidity. You're just
Oh,
full pads, helmet. You're
right.
just dying, and you're just thinking, and your body's weak, and you just want to quit.
Well, and yeah, I mean, football is, we're both sports fans, so I mean,
We love sports.
we love seeing
Yeah.
stories and things that we can compare to what we're talking about. Recently, the French Open concluded,
Mm-hmm.
and tell us about that champion and what he had to say after he won.
Yeah, well, after one, the person interviewing said something about you probably visualize and, you know, before you go out on the court stuff. He said, "Look,
And
for
and who was it?
Djokovic,
Yep.
he just set the he's got the most Grand Slam victories. I think it's 23, and
Mhm.
of any male player, he's tied Serena now. But he said, look, when I walk out on the court, I expect to win. That's it. That's his belief.
That expectancy, yeah, it
He's
is. It's true belief, and you know what? His opponents expect him to win too.
oh, most of them do.
I mean,
They're whipped before they. And hey, I'll say this: Jack Nicklaus. A lot of you remember if you follow golf. You know, he was the Golden Bear. He's got the most not Grand Slams, but
majors.
majors. Thank you.
Yeah.
And of anyone, Tiger's right behind him, and he was the same way. But Jack said when he started the tournament, he didn't have to beat the field. He said the majority of the field already were whipped. You know, he'd listen
Yeah.
to them talk,
Yeah.
and they were just playing for second. So he said, "Shoot, all I got is a few people to focus on." And but he believed he was going to win. Tiger Woods, same way. When he wore that red shirt every Sunday, he just saw himself as winning. He expected to win. He developed, trained both of them. Jack and Tiger were two guys that were developed and trained and expected to win every time they played.
There's other athletes. Serena, oh my goodness, she's
Yeah, she
been
was dominant.
and really dominant past a lot of a point where people said, well, you're not in your prime anymore. Well, golly,
Mhm.
she's gotten better with age.
And so belief is so very important. Uh, Believing that you can transform yourself into a person that's more carefree, easygoing, comfortable in your own skin with less mental health issues. If you can believe that, you got a shot. But if you don't believe it, you won't make hardly any. You'll just wither up on the vine and die.
Yeah.
That's funny you say that because I used to have this saying. I said, "Okay, don't hit me over the head with a hammer anymore, Lord. I get it. I see I need help.
Right.
I'm done trying to do it myself.
Yeah.
And I believe you can help me. See, that was the thing that I believe helped me more than anything. When I went to God and I said, I'm yours, all in, you know, I'm done trying to figure it out myself. And I believed he was going to help me. I believed it. I mean, I told my wife, I said, something's about to happen because I've surrendered, I've given up, and I admitted I need help. And I don't know what's going to happen. Something's about to happen. I believed it.
Well, like the young lady that just touched his robe as he was walking by
Mm,
in the crowd.
yes. Now, there's a good example of
And now
belief.
and now you can interchange faith and belief,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of times there's a trust in knowing there's going to be a certain outcome, that trust and a certain expectation.
Mm-hmm.
And she knew all she had to do is just touch his
Touch it.
robe, and he felt the power leave him,
The
which is
power. What would that be? Energy?
energy. That's right.
Positive energy.
Hmm.
It left him to heal her, and he felt it leave him to heal her
Right.
because of her belief that he couldn't have done for anybody in his hometown,
Right.
but he did for her. And this lady,
And he gave her all the credit. He
yeah,
said she believed, and
yeah, he
that's why.
said it's the reason you're healed is because of your belief, and imagine that, to have that much faith that she would crawl along through the crowd, doing the best she could to get to this man just to touch the hem of his garment.
Right.
That's how powerful her belief was.
Yeah.
So, and then the Roman centurion, I always enjoyed that story because he came to the good teacher and said, "Hey, I got this servant, and he's like a son, and I love him a lot, but he's really sick, but I believe you can heal him."
Hmm.
And he was amazed. He looked around. He said, "Wow! In all of Israel, I've not found a man with such faith." And he was not a guy that was even Romans had nothing to do with him at the time, but yet here's this guy saying, I believe you can heal my servant.
Right.
And he said, but due to your faith, it's
Mhm.
done.
Yeah.
So that's what belief is. If we're just telling you these things to give you an example, an idea of what faith and belief are really all about, and the power. But you have to believe. It's just something you got to kind of step out on faith, isn't it? You
Yep.
just say, okay, I believe. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I choose to believe.
That's right. And you can project the outcome, the future, if you believe strong enough, and if you believe in all the different ways things can come together, and you carry those out, then it'll happen. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, just hang on because it's going to happen.
Well, and you and I have projected out. We've gone in to talk to people. It's just like you were talking about going to the door.
Mm-hmm.
We've gone in to have meetings before, or we knew we were going to see people, and we've already played that meeting out in our mind. We believe what the result's going to be or what the outcome's going to be before we ever even step foot in their office or the building or even shake their hand. And guess what? The times that I've had that power and belief, those meetings, those relationships have thrived and flourished. It's been incredible
Right.
because positivity going out.
And that's a good point. And going back to my sales career, and I talked about it already, but when I first started knocking doors, you did the same thing. You may have went through something similar, but when I first started, I was timid.
Yeah.
Almost hoping they didn't come to the door. And when they did, it was almost like, you wouldn't want to buy cable, would you? It wasn't my product. But after I had an extreme experience of ownership, taking ownership, and realizing it was up to me if it was going to be. When I went to the door, I believed and expected them to buy,
and that's what happened.
And I went to the top of the board of salespeople. I went from at the bottom to up near the top. In fact, for a few months, I was at the top, and it was nothing changed except my belief.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep, folks, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you.
Yep. And if you like the video, hit like. If you'd like to see more of these, please hit subscribe and comment below on your thoughts on today's show.
And peace, joy, love, and light be with you always.
And we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.